You're tuned in to the Foxboro BeatCast, a podcast for Patriots fans by Patriots fans. And here are your hosts, is Kaleb McChesney and Ryan Moore.
Hello and welcome to the Foxboro BeatCast, everybody. I am your host, Kaleb McChesney. Obviously, my co-host Ryan is not here today, but like usual, I have some solid friends that I can rely upon to show up and go through this painful process with me. Today, I bring on my good pal, Brian Kohler, as I'm pronouncing that right, I assume. I've been doing that for years now, but noted Pittsburgh Steelers fan, contributor to the Steel City Beat Facebook page that's every now and again coming off, deciding on when they want to mess with the Steelers fans and when they want to be serious or not show up at all. But Brian is here. We had plans to have another, but apparently you didn't want to show up. So, Brian, it's all you today. How you feeling? What's going on? Introduce yourself a little bit for the fine people at home.
Oh, man. All right. Well, been a Steelers fan for a little over 20 years now.
So sorry.
Yeah. In the heart of Texas, no less. That extra fun. I wasn't going to be a Cowboys fan. We've all met Cowboys fans.
We've never met a Cowboys fan that we liked.
Yeah, maybe 1 in 1,000, but the odds still are not in anyone's favor here. Been doing Steel City Beat for what?
2021, 2020.
I think it was the COVID year because I think that was the year we started off.
Yep.
11-0, and then the wheels just fell off.
Yeah, everybody got mad at me when I said that Steelers team wasn't really that good. Like the 11-0 did not represent how good they were. You didn't get as mad as me as Elcio did, but apparently it was a hot take then.
Well, I mean, they probably won those 11 games by a combined 20 points, maybe.
I'd like to see how many games you got outgained like this year.
Probably not in all of them. I'll give them that.
But no, the Steelers are in a better place than the Patriots right now. Obviously, the Patriots coming off of a 6-0 loss. Like every week is just like a candidate for worst game of the year. I feel like with the Giants last week, it was bad. And then the Chargers this week, it was horrendous. 2 straight shutouts. I mean, no, not 2 straight shutouts, but they scored. I think they scored 10 last week against the Giants, lost 16-10. Like they've given up 26 points in the last 3 games, and they're 0-3.
Yeah, they lost 10-7.
10-7. That's right. Chad Ryland missed the field goal, and everybody was like, "Thank God." I mean, for me, I don't want to lose these games. Like I wait all year for these games, and I'm not a tank guy. I obviously see that there's a benefit to losing out, getting that first pick, getting that second pick for whatever quarterback that we might take. If we take a receiver, I'm killing somebody.
Hey, you're welcome for the help, by the way.
Yeah, no, right. The Steelers, obviously, in your position, they're 7-5, right in the thick of the playoff mix. They lost their quarterback for probably the next month, Kenny Pickett, with the ankle injury that he got surgery on. So we'll see if he'll be back for postseason if you guys happen to squeak in. But the Steelers are one of our biggest friends right now. They went and took on the Cardinals, and they lost, giving the Cardinals a win, giving us sole possession of the second pick. But we'll get to all that in just a minute. Obviously, we have some Patriots discussion to take over, and we'll do just that. The Patriots are the worst they've ever been. At 2-10, they were eliminated from playoff contention after Sunday's loss to the Chargers. As we said, 6-0. Bailey Zappi started. The offense didn't get any better. But Brian, I ask you as an outsider perspective, and we got another month until the NFL season concludes. Is there any way Bill Belichick keeps this position in 2024? There has to be a quarterback change next year, right? And let's try to address some of these questions and deliver that outside perspective that I had mentioned. So let's just start off with that first question with Belichick. Looking as somebody who probably doesn't cheer for the Patriots often, doesn't have no love lost for that team. Obviously, a historic rivalry that's mostly gone the Patriots' way over the years. But when you're looking at the Patriots as somebody who's tuned into the NFL, is there any shot that Belichick keeps his job next year?
I'd have to say so, right? I mean, obviously Robert Kraft isn't a quick one to pull the trigger. He's not Tepper in Carolina. He's going to pull Frank Reich after 11 games. I mean, Belichick's earned his place too. whether or not that's because of Tom Brady, which it seems to be. I don't think that matters. I think at the very least he'll get another year, new quarterback, like you said, rookie, or maybe they'll bring somebody in. I don't know, but you can't stick with Mac, obviously. Bailey Zappi's not that much better. Maybe you throw Malik Cunningham out there for the next
Listen,
couple.
people have been screaming about that for weeks, and we haven't seen it yet. So I just assume he's terrible. Like I have to assume that.
I mean, hey, look, that's fair. If he can't beat out Mac and Zappi in practice, I mean, surely he can't.
Apparently, Zappi is still horrible in practice, but they put him out there anyway.
Oh, look, what if he got to lose? Maybe they're fully going on the tank. Maybe Belichick's in on this. Said, all right,
this is the way that he keeps his job, right? Like, if he wins one more game, he's out. That's what Kraft told him.
I mean, it makes sense.
But here's a question. I was told this by a Patriots fan that I am crazy for wanting Belichick out at the end of the year. Like, I was done with him after the Colts game in Germany when Mac had that horrible pick and we lost like 10-6. I was done with him then. I wanted to leave him in Germany. But somebody told me it was a hot take that like I should be grateful for Belichick and I should want him here and like I shouldn't be looking for the new administration for the next guy. I'm like, we've given him 4 years to figure this out and we've regressed. Like I was telling you pre-show, we hired Bill O'Brien, who for all intents and purposes is a solid offensive coordinator at worst. You couldn't imagine that this offense gets any worse when you replace him from Matt Patricia and Joe Judge, and you get a real offensive line coach in Adrian Clem, who for the record is sick and is away from the team right now. But there's no way that this team could have gotten worse from 2022 to 2023, and it has. And like, am I not supposed to want Belichick to be gone after 4 years of this crap?
I mean, you got to think about it. You've been good for so long, right? Belichick came along in what, 2000?
Yep.
1999, somewhere around there. And he's been successful ever since. So I think on a certain level, Patriots fans are just being loyal to a fault. Like, hey, he's gotten us here.
I don't think that he's in the majority. I think the most of the conversation is most Patriots fans want him out. But I want to address the I should be grateful that Bill's still here conversation.
Oh, okay, no, definitely not.
But the majority is very much like, get Bill out of here yesterday.
Oh, yeah, because I mean, the year after Tom Brady left, y'all still made the playoffs, right?
No. We didn't get eliminated until like the week before the last week or something like that. Like we finished 8-9 with the Cam Newton year. And then the next year we made the playoffs, Mac's rookie year, because we had the huge splurge in free agency that had that initial first year bump. Mac Jones almost won Rookie of the Year if it wasn't for Jamar Chase just being like an insane receiver. And then the next year was obviously last year with Matt Patricia and all that. And then this year was supposed to be, okay, everything comes back together. Everything is good. We have a functional organization now. These coaches were picked by Belichick. A whole 9 yards, everything's supposed to be better, and it just sucks. And obviously, the 2021 free agency spending spree looks horrible now. Kendrick Bourne was great until he tore his ACL. Matt Judon's hurt. And then everybody else got the bag and sucked. Hunter Henry, been an okay tight end, but not what we paid for him. Jonnu Smith got the bag, and then we traded him for a 7th-round pick. Nelson Aguilar sucked. Devon Godchaux, I think, according to PFF, is the worst run defender in the league at his position. And Belichick gave him the bag too. So Jalen Mills is nothing more than a rotational corner safety. Devontae Parker sucks. It's like his GMing. Belichick as a GM has been horrible for a long time. The drafts haven't been good in a long time. And then you look at his coaching moves. Like last year, giving Matt Patricia the offensive coordinator job, obviously not in name, but giving him that job was a fireable offense. Like if he was anybody but Belichick, he would have been canned after that.
Oh yeah, especially when he decided to split it with Joe Judge of all people, who was
neither of whom have coached an offensive staff in their career.
No, because Judge was what, special teams coordinator before
He was a
took
receiver
over?
coach in 2019, and that was when we had terrible receivers the last year under Brady. And then he moved to the head coach of the Giants, but yeah, he was mostly a special teams guy here, which is back to pretty much what he's doing.
As he should be. I mean,
And our special teams hasn't gotten much better, but
might be a good guy, but I don't think he's one of those who he's not cut out to be a head coach. Just like maybe Matt Patricia just got a rough deal in Detroit, but
I don't know. He burnt that place to the ground. Like they had to hire Dan Campbell to like rebuild the culture. And Dan Campbell, I know it's a hot take. I don't think he's a great head coach. Like he reset the culture. He reset the culture, which is what he's supposed to do. And that team is obviously playing for him and playing very well. But you see some of the in-game decisions he makes. Like he is Andy Reid level bad. Like early career Andy Reid with some of the decisions he makes. Like the fake punt on Thanksgiving that everybody saw coming.
Oh, on what? Yeah, in their own deep in their own territory on like 4th and 7, 4th and 8.
And he does that kind of shit all the time. Like it's unbelievable. So I don't think Dan Campbell is a great head coach. I think he was a solid guy to get the culture together. But if it wouldn't piss everybody off, I would say give Ben Johnson the full-time job in Detroit. But it would piss everybody off.
Campbell's he's still a new head coach too. He's probably more aggressive than he should be. He's definitely more aggressive than he should be at times. But maybe that's just something he'll work out. They're still 9-3. You can't really fault him for that.
Right. No, right. And he's obviously doing a better job than Bill right now because the culture in New England is terrible. And there are defensive players that are just pissed. Like, they're like, oh, well, I guess we have to hold them to 0 if our offense can't score. Like, they're saying stuff like that.
Well, yeah, that was Jabril Peppers, right? Caught on a hot mic.
Yeah, and then he said, "You're lucky we're asked," to like whoever he went and dapped up after the game. Yeah, so I can't see a world where Bill's brought back. You can't let Bill make that second overall pick decision. Like if he wants to stick around as a head coach, I mean, sure, but he's got to give up those general manager duties. Like that's a non-starter if he wants to have a total autocracy here. Like if he wants to be GM, head coach, and make all the decisions still, non-starter, get him out. I'm done.
Yeah, because then you guys end up like the Cowboys.
Right. And like imagine like I know Mike McCarthy, not a great head coach, but imagine like Belichick with a team that talented where he doesn't have to do anything but coach it. Cowboys could be dangerous if Bill went there. But that's an off-season conversation. But what was the other question that I had on the script there? There has to be a quarterback change too next year, right? Like we're not spending that second overall pick on either trading down or Marvin Harrison Jr. or something like that, right? Like we have to take a quarterback.
Unless Mac takes a massive leap, and I mean massive leap over these last.
He's not even playing. He's not even playing.
Oh, right. You guys started Zappy last week.
And he's going to be starter the rest of the year, I'd imagine.
Okay, so unless somebody takes a massive leap over the next 5 weeks.
Like then... Bailey Zappi all of a sudden is like midget Tom Brady.
Turns into outdoor Drew Brees.
Yeah, right? Honestly, Zappy probably has more talent than Drew Brees. That's disingenuous, but I hate Drew Brees.
That's a hot take.
Malik Cunningham is just Lamar Jackson Jr. Like, that's the only way we are not taking a quarterback. That Absolutely. Is the only way. Unless, like, you look in free agency or, like, we get Kyler Murray. Like, the Cardinals want to take a quarterback, and they're like, oh, hey, we'll give you Kyler for a second or something. Like, something along those lines. Like, that would be the only way. That would be the only way. And, like, I would even, like, I wouldn't give up the second overall pick for Kyler Murray. I wouldn't do it.
No.
Pick number 2? No. Absolutely not. But then that's the only way we're not taking quarterbacks if we get somebody like Kyler Murray, who has been rumored to be on the move. Like, admittedly, like the Cardinals have interest in taking a quarterback this year and getting out of the Kyler Murray contract, which is enormous. Like he got a huge payday last offseason, I think, before he tore his ACL.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, last offseason.
Yeah, so that's the only way that we're not taking quarterback. Like, I'm not insane saying that, right?
No.
Like Drake May, Caleb Williams has to be the pick.
Yeah, maybe Bo Nix if
At number 2, bro,
Mac Jones Jr.
you would not you would not see my face again if we took Bo Nix at number 2. Like if it's anybody but Williams or May, I'm like going on a retreat and just ghosting everything in life until like November.
No, I mean it has to be May because I'm assuming Williams goes number 1. There's talk
Dude.
about
Yeah, Jaden Daniels. I mean, if we trade down and get like an elite package, I wouldn't be against it, but I'd feel really bummed that we didn't get one of the top 2. And like, I don't know. What were you about to say?
I'm not sold on Caleb Williams based on all the
Me
reports.
neither. Me neither.
Not even from necessarily just the physical standpoint, but the mental standpoint.
Thank God Ryan isn't here because, USC fan, he'd be all over us.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know how many of these reports are true. You got to take them with the grain of salt, obviously. But if that ownership thing is true,
yeah. Like he might go back to college because he doesn't like the team that's going to pick him.
Oh, yeah. Either that or you guys end up with the number 2 pick. He tells Chicago that he's not going to play for him because he'd probably end up sitting behind Justin Fields.
Does Caleb Williams have the kind of pull that Eli and Elway had that he can just like say, I'm not playing for you? And teams would be like, okay.
I mean, it's hard to say, man.
When's the last time where he had a situation like this where like a quarterback taking number 1 overall might like piss and moan until he gets kicked out? Is it Eli?
I think it is Eli, yeah.
In 20 years?
Wow. You had to say that.
Unbelievable, dude. Yeah, I'm not huge on Caleb Williams either. I just think he's a mental midget. And like I hate having these like criticisms of players because I feel like a lot of it are bred out of like the wrong place. And you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah.
Attitude problems, stuff you can't really prove. Like there were similar talks about other quarterbacks having bad attitudes, and we know what that was kind of bred out of. But Caleb Williams, I look at him, he just screams like bad news. Like, not that he's a bad player, because he has that kind of generational skill set, like Kyler Murray did when he was coming out. But you look at some of the things he says, to reporters, some of the things he does on the field, like painting his fingernails and with the "fuck Utah" thing, or the
and then lose to Utah.
Refusing to talk to media after he loses. And then the whole like Hawaiians don't concern themselves with the opinions of sheep thing. Like, dude, get out of here. Who do you think you are?
I forgot about that.
Like, I'm not interested in pulling for Caleb Williams on my team.
No, and you know what's crazy? Like you said, he can go back to college and he can still make a good amount of money now. He's not going to be hurting for that. And I think that puts a lot more power in the hands of the players and that's what makes this different from 20 years ago with Eli Manning. Eli couldn't do that.
Right. At least not on face value. He was probably still getting something it's under the table.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Now Miami doesn't have to hide the Bugattis that they give their players. But all right, so that was my next question actually, between debating the quarterbacks here. It seems like we're on the same page that Drake May should probably be the pick at 2 if the Patriots if they got to choose who they were going to pick. Drake May should probably be that guy.
Probably. I mean, you could argue he's a little bit less physically talented than Caleb Williams. Maybe not as good of a runner, but again,
arm's still there and the attitude isn't.
Yeah. And like you said with Dan Campbell, you've seen what a change of culture can do. And if those are my choices.
Like if we get Caleb Williams in here and then we have a coach like that's in the Belichick like group of thought, that's that, hard ass kind of, disciplinarian, like Caleb Williams isn't gonna work out here.
Oh no. Like
we need the Sean McVays of the world, the real quarterback friendly types.
Oh yeah, a lot of the new guys coming out.
Yeah,
Zach
but
Taylor.
like a Ben Johnson, who's going to be a hot commodity
Well,
this coming year. I really don't know who I would. I haven't even begun to look at the potential coaches for next year. Because I don't think I'll look at that until I know that Bill is fired or that Bill is gone. As far as like trading Bill, that would be amazing, but I don't know if he would want to do that to himself.
and then what kind of package would you get for him now?
It wouldn't be the first, second, third we got in that we gave in like 1999.
No,
No, you'd be looking at probably a second.
less than what Denver gave up for Sean Payton for sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of tread on those tires, or not a lot of tread left, or whatever the saying is. A lot of
Belichick?
miles. There's a lot of miles on Belichick, and he's only got a couple of years left. He's really only sticking it out to get that Shula win record. And if we keep Belichick here just for that, isn't that a shame?
How close is he now?
17.
At this
He's
rate,
not
that'll
doing
take
that.
all the-
He's not doing that in the next 3 to 4 years.
I was
Like,
gonna say
not
it'll
here.
take us about 5-6 years at this point
Like, we would need to average 9 wins a year after this to get that.
to get it in 2.
Yeah, not happening. Like, this is a full scale rebuild, and Bill doesn't do that. Like, not that he doesn't do the full scale rebuild because I think he could, but I don't want him to do it here because he's tried the last 4 years, and what has it gotten us? It got us one playoff appearance, which obviously I'm not going to bitch because you make the playoffs. That's pretty good. But the last 2 years, 3 out of 4 years, that's just inexcusable.
No.
2020 should have been the blow it up year, but we kept around so many players that just weren't as impactful as they used to be. And in 2021, the spending spree was a bust, and the draft isn't good. You're not going to keep around Kyle Duggar. You're not going to keep around Josh Uche. Like, you might not even keep around your star right tackle, Mike Onwenu. Like, it's bad. It's bad. I can't see a world where Bill returns.
Has Brady really been covering for Belichick's bad drafting this whole time?
You look at the drafts that we've had since 2013, they're not good. They're not good at all. Me and Ryan have gone over it in length about some of the bad picks we've had. I mean, the N'Keal Harry pick in 2019 probably set us back years.
Man, I liked that pick at the time too.
I hated it from the jump. I didn't think he was a very good receiver. I didn't see a ton of separation out of him at Arizona State. I wanted Debo or I wanted AJ Brown. Those are my two.
Oh man,
I was also a big Hakeem Butler guy, but he broke his hand and then just was never the same.
No, he was a tight end for Philly for a little bit, I think.
Yeah, and then he was in the USFL for a little bit too. But
he was a big one. He was big, but he couldn't do. Like you said, he broke his hand. Hard to
rookie training camp, he got one pass and he broke his hand. I mean, what are you gonna do? But
lucky.
So we're counting down the days until off season here in Foxboro. But there is a team associated in this podcast that does have something to play for still. The Pittsburgh Steelers, on the other hand, have had a solid season, despite losing 24-10 to the Arizona Cardinals. If I haven't said it, thanks for that, by the way. They sit at 7-5 in the thick of the AFC playoff picture. Let's talk about how the Steelers have looked in 2023 and what the rest of the year holds in store for you guys. And I'll just paint the picture for the remaining schedule here as I accidentally closed it earlier. That's my bad. You got us on Thursday Night Football. Going to be the worst primetime game of the year. You got Steelers and Colts on Saturday next week. You got Bengals and Steelers at Heinz Field. You're going to travel to Seattle on New Year's Eve, and then you're going to play the Ravens in Baltimore at the last game of the year. Kenny Pickett might be back, might not be back. Obviously, had the ankle surgery. But give me your perspective on how this season has kind of gone for you in 2023 and what you're kind of looking for the rest of the year.
You seen any Iowa Hawkeyes games this year?
No. I'm a New Englander, so we don't watch college football.
Oh, fair enough. It's bad. It's half bad. So the defense is incredible. They're only giving up, I think, 16 to 20 points a game.
Much like us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. But I think our offense is 28th in the league, averaging about 15, 16 points a game. And that's today's NFL. That's not going to cut it. We've had a lot of close wins. We've had the one close loss to Cleveland. Then the other losses against Arizona, against San Francisco, and against Houston, those weren't close at all. Our offense couldn't get going. And so when your defense stays on the field, obviously you're going to give up 30 points-ish a game.
Right.
Matt Canada getting fired was the answer to all of our prayers. But in the 2 games, I think it's been 2 games since, it's not like we've looked a whole lot better.
You obviously had the huge game where you had like 400 yards of total offense a couple weeks ago. I forget who that was against. I think, was it Cleveland? Your second Cleveland game?
It's Cleveland or Cincinnati.
That's right. Yeah, the first game without damn, he had 400 yards and he still only won 16-10.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't.
You just settle for field goals every single time.
Probably.
Yeah, you had the field goal. You went into halftime down 7-3. You had the touchdown in the third quarter, and you had 2 field goals in the fourth, unless you scored a touchdown, had a PAT.
And then we had a fumble in the red zone too.
So just not great offensive play for either of us this year, but
no,
you're still 7-5. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at.
No, and I think part of that is on Mike Tomlin. I don't know how much at this point. Part of me wants him gone. Part of me is like, well, he keeps winning. How bad can he really be?
Want to trade?
No, thank you. Only if we can swap draft picks.
No deal. Actually, maybe deal because Belichick wouldn't know what to do with it. But we just had this conversation. I don't want Bill making the pick either.
Take a mid-round pick, get Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix.
Yeah, he's going to take Bo Nix number 2 overall. That's what he's going to do.
No, he'll take.
I really liked his leadership in Oregon, and he's going to make a real franchise quarterback for us.
No, he's going to take Justin Herbert's brother, who I believe is a tight end.
I thought he could play quarterback. Nah, with the number 2 pick, the Patriots select long snapper from Rutgers. I can see it now.
We're going to keep joking about it until it comes true.
If he trades down to that second overall pick, I will be going to Nantucket or wherever the hell he's doing that draft, and like just protesting in his front lawn.
Steal his dog.
Nike would probably make a better draft than Bill at this point, but obviously 7-5 in the thick of the AFC playoff picture. Some tough games down the stretch. Do you expect to make the playoffs? What are some of the things you're going to have to overcome to make the playoffs? And if you get there, how much do you like your chances?
Well, we got to overcome this entire offense, really. The only thing that really comforts me or gives me hope to make the playoffs is the fact that Baltimore's schedule isn't that much easier than ours. And we're only 2 games back. We're tied with Cleveland. But Baltimore still has to go on the road to face Jacksonville, San Francisco.
Who just had a huge win. Or no, they didn't have a huge one. They had a huge loss. Oh. They lost to Jake Browning.
Yeah.
God, Jake Browning.
Hey, maybe the Bengals aren't out of it after all. But I think it's just a high ankle sprain for Trevor Lawrence. He might be out for that game.
Yeah, he'll probably miss a week or 2.
Yeah, so they still have to play San Francisco on the road, and they still have to play Miami. So those 2 could go either way. And then Cleveland also still has to play Jacksonville. They have to play on the road against Houston and Cincinnati, but then they have the Jets and Bears. So those, if they don't win those, that's on.
Yeah, so I mean, certainly not out of it.
Oh no, definitely not. Especially if it would help a lot too if the Colts could play the way that they're supposed to be playing right now. They're
in the thick of the playoff picture too. Who would have thought?
Yeah, I think there's 4 or 5 teams that are 7-5. You got us, Cleveland, Houston, the Colts, and then just right behind them, you got Denver, you got Cincinnati now. Like there's AFC.
Then you still have Buffalo. I mean, out of it, but they could just rip off 5 straight and just be like, LOL, right?
I mean, they have the talent for it for sure. I'd love to see us make the playoffs, but if we get there, I mean, who do we get? We're not going to play at home, so we get Kansas City on the road. At
You wouldn't be
best,
the lowest seed, would you? You'd probably be one of the higher wildcard teams, right? So then that leaves you with what? Houston? Whoever wins the AFC South, that's winnable.
Houston or Jacksonville.
That's winnable. Those are winnable games. In the East, I mean, the Dolphins can't beat anybody worth the damn. Like, they don't beat good teams.
Yeah, they really don't. So neither do we. Or no, we're the other way around. We don't beat bad teams.
Right. So that means when we preview this game in a couple of segments here that it's going to be who plays down to who.
Oh yeah, all I know is I'm hammering the under for sure.
30.5, lowest since 2005. But so looking down the stretch, got us. You got the Colts on the road. Got the Bengals at home. Got the Seahawks on the road. And the Ravens on the road. It's a tough schedule to end. Are you thinking that you could hit 10-7? Could you win 3 more out of 5?
If everything goes right, yes.
And those wins are probably looking like against us on Thursday, the Bengals game, and then
the Colts really.
Colts or Seahawks.
I feel like the must win is at Indy.
Yeah, because that's a fellow wild card team.
Right. And I mean, if we win the next 3, I would feel really good. I don't want to have to go into Seattle and Baltimore hoping for
in a must-win situation, right?
Yeah, for either game, really. I mean, Seattle's tough to play on the road, anyways. And
they kept up with Dallas's offense last Thursday. Like that was one of the rare Thursday night football masterclasses.
Oh God! And then we go to this week, and it's just going to be fantastic.
So bad. So bad. But let's hit this NFL roundtable real quick before we dive into that preview of war crimes. As usual, there's a lot going on around the league, or college football if we want to take it there. I think that without Elcio, we can really talk about this college football thing without me having to edit things out. So we can. That's on the table. It's on the table. We can talk about college football if we want to take it there. Florida State obviously got screwed by Alabama and the CFB committee. The Heisman Trophy finalists have been released. I think it's Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Marvin Harrison Jr., and who's the other one? Michael Penix. That's right. And if we want to keep it to NFL topics, the 49ers saw revenge against the Eagles. That surprisingly not close Sunday game. Jake Browning, did he prove something for the Bengals last night against Jacksonville? And do we want to talk about MVPs? Let's discuss, Brian. I will let you take the first pick of what you want to talk about here.
How many F-bombs did you say I get on this podcast?
You have to make them count.
Give me a second.
Make it count.
Fuck the college football playoff committee.
All right, why?
You've set a precedent over the last 10 years that undefeated conference champions are basically set in stone, right? I mean, you look at Ohio State in 2014. I don't think they were undefeated. I think they had one loss, but they were in a similar situation. They had JT Barrett, I think, got hurt. You had third stringer Cardale Jones go in, and
Massachusetts Pirates legend Cardale Jones, by the way.
The one who
he didn't take a single snap.
What, like 92-10 in NCAA football?
Yeah.
Really said, screw them kids.
No kidding. But
and granted,
keep going.
They did destroy Wisconsin in that conference championship game, which, okay, Florida State didn't destroy Louisville. But their defense shut down an offense that had been averaging just about 30 points a year. And at the worst case, you get your second string quarterback who led you to a win against Florida back for the playoff game. He's only in concussion protocol. He was already a game time decision. You give him a month, he'll be fine. I just don't understand how you leave Florida State out on the thing of, oh, well, maybe they wouldn't be as good without Jordan Travis.
Listen, I think that Florida State probably would have been a sitting duck for Michigan when they go in there without Jordan Travis. But Jordan Travis didn't seem to be a factor when they ranked him last week. Like if they had dropped Florida State immediately, sure, I can get behind that. But they didn't think it was a factor until they happened to win the ACC championship game.
Right, and then once you put, you can't put Texas below Alabama just because of week 2 they beat them by 10 in Tuscaloosa. That's not going to happen. So at that point, you kind of back yourselves into a corner of, okay, Alabama or Florida State. Alabama has the better win. They beat Georgia, who had been number 1 all year.
They're probably the better. I don't want to say the better team, but they're probably going to give Michigan a better game than Florida State would.
Probably,
if we're being totally objective about it. But
this whole thing has been the most deserving teams for 10 years, right?
Right. No, I'm right behind you.
That's my whole thing. You can't say it's been about the most deserving teams and then leave a Power 5 conference champion out. If I'm Florida State, I'm trying to get out of the ACC as fast as I can.
Yeah, and I already saw that there's a lot of teams in the ACC calling up the Big 12. Like that's a tweet that I saw the other night. I don't know if it's true, but last night I did see a tweet that like Miami was calling up Big 12. There were a couple other teams that are like slipping my mind right now, but a lot of them called up.
Who can blame them? I mean, you're expanding too. You've added some of the Pac-12. You've added SMU,
Stanford, and Cal.
Yeah, Stanford and Cal, who have been down a bit the last couple of years. Cal's been all right. Stanford hasn't been what they were in the Andrew Luck days, for sure.
Christian McCaffrey days either.
Yeah. But I mean, if you go undefeated and win your conference and you still have that outside shot of being left out, why would you? Why would you want to play in that conference that's going to screw you over?
I get the ACC hasn't been good like for a while, like since Deshaun Watson and Trevor Lawrence at Clemson, but I don't know, like something doesn't sit right with me what they did. Like I get it, I get the logic behind it, but I don't get how they got there. Like that's something I can't get behind. Like I said, if they had dropped Florida State to like 6 or 7 when Jordan Travis got hurt, that's one thing. But you can't say that now when you didn't think it was a factor a week ago when you booked the championship.
Yeah, now all of a sudden it's an issue.
Right. Like, really? And I get that, like I said, Bama's probably going to give Michigan a better game. Florida State would have been a sitting duck. I really don't think I don't think that Florida State would have put up a huge fight if they had to play a backup or a third string.
With how their defense has been looking, though, against I mean, we didn't think TCU had a shot against Michigan last year either, and they went out there and rolled them.
I don't know if I said that. I wasn't very in tune with college football like I am sort of this year. Like I paid attention the last couple of weeks because the games have been interesting. Okay. But, I mean, my biggest problem, and I guess this is a new tangent, my biggest problem with college football is I feel like anytime I turn it on, it's a blowout. Like it's not even close, and it wasn't even supposed to be close. Like you look at the betting lines, like last week, the Big Ten championship game, Michigan is favored by 23.5. And I'm supposed to get behind that. I'm supposed to be interested and invested in that.
Do you not like good defensive football?
Is it good defensive football or bad offensive football? And I think that's a problem in the NFL too. Like there are people who say that the NFL is more entertaining now than it was a decade ago because of the more explosive offenses. But I'm like, is it more explosive offenses, or is it any time that a game is 6-0, it's because the offense sucks, not because the defense is good?
Yeah, I mean, all the rules now are helping the offenses.
And I get we're trying to make the game safer. I do understand that to some degree. But I feel like a lot of times just referees don't know what the rule is, and they're kind of flying by the seat of their pants. But I don't know.
Either that or it's incredibly subjective. And, like we saw against the Chiefs and Packers, that pass interference call on the last play of one of the last plays of the game on MVS.
The late hit on Mahomes.
Which was, yeah, maybe the pass interference was just a makeup call. Who knows?
That's what people were theorizing. But as far as the college football playoff goes, I probably won't get you here until the offseason? Do you have any predictions for how that's going to go? Who's going to win the national championship?
My life isn't that good, so I think Alabama's probably going to end up winning it all.
Imagine that. They get in on some bullshit and they just go and win.
That's what Nick Saban does. You only put up 17 points against South Florida. How good can you really be?
He's good enough to beat Michigan and then beat Washington or whatever. I think I'm with you. I think there's something reeks about Michigan, man. I don't know what it is, but there's some vibe that tells me they can't win it, that they cannot win the national championship. There's some kind of weird voodoo energy going on over there that I just like. I can't put my full weight of support behind them.
You think it's Harbaugh?
I think part of it's Harbaugh. Like, I don't think he doesn't have, like, I don't want to say he's not a winner, but it's just like, I don't know, just something about Michigan winning a national championship. They've been in this position so many times and they get smoked in the first round.
Yeah, like last year against TCU. I'm trying to remember how they did.
Other years they didn't make it because they lost to Ohio State. Like,
yeah,
something about that whole thing. Do you have any faith in Texas
to beat Washington? Yes.
To beat Alabama or Michigan?
Well, we know they can beat Alabama.
That's right, by double digits even.
Yeah, but I mean, Jalen Milroe is a whole different player than he was back then. Because he got benched after that game, and that's, to be fair, probably why they only put up 17 points against USF. They played Tyler Buchner and I can't remember the other guy's name. Anyway, Jalen Milroe didn't play that game. But then he came back after that. They reinstated him as a starter, and he has just been on a tear. And you know what? If Auburn hadn't given up that 4th and 31, we're not in this situation right now. Florida State is in 100%. Alabama with 2 losses is out.
Dude, Georgia really screwed this up by not winning.
Georgia and Auburn, they both, especially Auburn, man, that one still gets me. Did you see what happened?
No.
So Auburn's up by 3 points. There's about a minute 45.
Oh wait, yes, I did watch this game. It was like some weird comeback at the end, and we're just sitting here like, what the hell?
Auburn was on defense. Alabama had a 4th and goal from the 31-yard line, and and Auburn lets them score and loses the game.
I do remember that. Yep, I do remember watching that last drive. That was funny. Oh. Listen, I'm not like heavily anti-Bama because I know that under the Belichick administration, we're going to get a lot of Bama players in here. So I usually do try to at least keep tabs on what Bama's doing, what kind of players they got, who we're going to pick. Hopefully that's not the case after this year with Belichick leaving and all that. But
hey, Alabama still produces good players.
Heisman pick, he's got to be Jaden Daniels, right?
Yeah. If Bo Nix had led Oregon to a comeback and won the Pac-12, I think he's
maybe it's a little different. Yeah,
maybe. But yeah, Jaden Daniels has just been electric all year. There was talk about whether or not the LSU defense would kind of hold him back there. I don't think they have. They're still 8-4, 9-3, somewhere along those lines. It's got to be.
You wouldn't put Marv over him, or I don't think Penix is, because I think Penix just likes to turn the ball over a little too much.
That and he started off strong. He's had a couple more rough games than Nix and Daniels have had, and I think Daniels' legs especially give him the edge.
Yeah.
But what they need to create, they need to have the Maxwell be a non-quarterback award or something. I don't know. Kind of like how in the NFL the MVP is the quarterback, offensive player of the year is best.
Is everybody else? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's how they should do that.
So you would give Marvin Harrison Jr. your vote?
No.
Okay.
Not first place at least.
So you think Jaden Daniels just had that great of a season, and he's
I think it'll be close. But I'd put him slightly above Nix, and then just based on the fact that he's a quarterback, probably Penix, and then Harrison in 4th.
Okay. But man, I'm interested to see what team Harrison goes to in the draft. Like, I feel like if the Cardinals are picking top 3, that's probably the spot.
If Chicago gets 1 overall, I wouldn't look past there either.
You don't think that they tell Fields to get out and find a job?
Do they keep the same coaching staff, or do they?
I think I saw that Eberflus is a red hot seat, and they're gonna hire. God, I had the Bleacher Report notification earlier. God, no. The newest Bleacher Report notification I have is that the Jets cut Tim Boyle.
Oh, UConn legend.
Brett Ripien is coming through now.
Okay, all right.
But being Rodgers' best friend couldn't save Tim Boyle's job. All right. NFL topic here before we move on to previewing that horrible game. Can you see I'm delaying it as much as I can?
I understand.
As far as some NFL topics, the Niners saw revenge against the Eagles. I picked the Eagles to win that game. I thought that the Niners were kind of fraudulent a little bit. Like I didn't think Brock Purdy could go into Philly and just rip them the way he did. So kind of made me eat my words.
Yeah. That's something that Kyle Shanahan has done really well, is getting Brock Purdy. I don't want to necessarily call him a game manager, but that's kind of what he is.
No, he's for sure a game manager, but he's doing it exceptionally well.
Yeah, and I've heard a couple people compare him to Tom Brady.
Okay.
Let me finish.
Let's relax.
I mean, they were comparing him to Joe Montana in the postseason already. So look, come on.
It's the NFL media for you.
Yeah, fair. But just based on the fact that they know how to work that offense around him, and he doesn't need to do everything. Look at the weapons he has, and he has better weapons than Brady had in any year, except for maybe 2007 when he had Randy Moss.
Moss and Welker, yeah, and we didn't even have a superstar running back. It was like Lawrence Maroney, or the year before Lawrence Maroney.
Aging Kevin Falk.
Yep, Kevin Falk was getting to the end there. 2016, I think, was an underrated year, but maybe that's just my nostalgia for those receivers. Like, Edelman, Amendola, and Hogan aren't like the greatest players on any other team, but I've got a lot of love for them. But yeah, 07 is probably the most star-studded. Maybe 2020, 2021 with Evans, Godwin, Gronk, Fournette. A lot of great receivers there. Antonio Brown before he went absolutely insane.
Something about the Steelers and wide receivers. I don't get it.
You guys hit on them more than we do. At least you guys can play.
We hit on them, but then they turn into head cases after 4 years.
So Pickens is going to be an absolute menace.
Oh, he's going to go to jail for robbing a bank or something. I can
break into a Panda Express with Jack Jones.
But Deontay Johnson first, and then Pickens in about 2-3 years.
All right. Last question before we move on. Jake Browning. Do the Bengals have a real shot with him?
It's another tough one. They were throwing a lot of short passes in the first half, a lot of screens, a lot of behind the line of scrimmage. They opened them up a little bit more in the second half. I think Jamar Chase is going to be – he already is, a fantastic receiver, but as long as Browning can get the ball in his hands, I think they'll be fine.
They'll be like Dobbs and Jefferson after this week in Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. And then they arguably have a better running back than Minnesota. You got Joe Mixon, who's still looking good out there.
Yeah, Minnesota at running back is just awful.
But, yeah.
All right, let's preview this disaster of a game. This week, the Pats are hitting the road, traveling to Pittsburgh, take on the Steelers. Historically, the Patriots have had the Steelers' number, but as we all know, this isn't your typical Patriots team. But the Steelers will be without starting quarterback Kenny Pickett, inserting Mitch Trubisky into the picture. Does this mean anything? Let's talk about how we think this game will go and what's to come on Thursday Night Football. Brian, as a Steelers fan, you look at this game, you look at the Patriots. What are you, I don't want to say afraid of, but what are you concerned about? And what do you look at this game and say, okay, we have a real shot to take advantage of this? How do you see this game unfolding?
So the first thing, look, we lost to Arizona last week, right? This just seems like a classic trap game that we've fallen into in the Mike Tomlin years, where it's a team that we probably should beat by double digits. But at best, it's going to come down to the wire. At worst, we're going to be underprepared and get our heads kicked in. Yeah. I don't think Kenny Pickett being out is going to make as much difference as everyone thinks it will. because we're already a rushing-based offense. We got Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, both looking really good. Harris a little less because, first-round pick running back, you got to, if you're not getting 1,500
Yeah, I
yards,
remember you were in super denial, and me and Tristan were like, "This is what's going to happen. You guys are going to take Najee Harris at the end of the first round."
I'm still upset about that. I hope he does well, but again, yeah, you take him in the first round, you got higher expectations. Doesn't change the fact that we still have a really good rushing attack. We just need Trubisky to be slightly better than Kenny Pickett, which isn't that hard. But I'll give Kenny Pickett a lot of credit. He has hung onto the ball pretty well for the most part when he's not fumbling snaps. I think we had 3 of those last week.
Ooh.
I know they each had one. Trubisky
So
and
ball protection is going to be a big concern for you,
oh yeah,
especially against our defense that's been really, really solid all year.
Yeah, like I said, I'm hammering the under on this one. 30.5. I don't think that's going to be anywhere close. I think it's going to end up. I wouldn't be surprised if this ended up 3-2.
Right. The Pirates beat the Red Sox 3-2. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Either that or we both something goes wrong and we just end up like 38-35.
Can you imagine a shootout between these two teams? Zappy versus Trubisky. They're both just going tit for tat. Looks like Eli versus Drew Brees in 2015.
I would love it. It's going to be Jared Goff and Patrick Mahomes part 2.
So awful. I would hate it so much. Just because it's just so different than like what we've seen all year out of these two teams. Just like the inability to score. And
but I mean, it just makes sense. I feel like there's no like scientific or statistical way to explain it, but that's just how it goes sometimes.
Obviously, these two teams have great defenses. Like both these teams, very, very good on the defensive side of the ball. Not a lot. There's not going to be a lot of work done on offense. I don't feel like when you look at this on paper. It's going to be very much a battle of field position. Who can get into field goal territory the most?
Who's got the better punter?
I don't know. Our rookie punter's been pretty good. He's been better than our kicker. Chad Ryland is just bad. Bryce Behringer is our punter, and he's all right. I forget where he went to school, but for me, like I said, taking advantage of the turnovers that Mr. Trubisky is going to give us because he's going to do it. He's going to give us.
He'll give you one or two for sure.
He'll give us the opportunities. Zappy, he protects the ball a little better than Jones does. It's not a huge bar, but Zappy doesn't make some of the head case decisions that Mac has made, like just kind of like with the phantom pressure and all that. So I think I'm in similar line to you. Ball protection going to be huge. We don't have Ramondre Stevenson this week, so it's going to be Ezekiel Elliott taking the bulk of the carries. It's going to be a battle of field position. It really is. I can't see this game going over 20 points. I really can't. Like I'm thinking like 9-3.
I was going to say
tough.
14-10.
You really think we're going to score a touchdown?
I think your defense is going to score a touchdown. And I think our defense is going to score a touchdown.
That's going to piss the defense off even more. Like, we gave you a touchdown and you fuckers still couldn't win. All right. But we'll save our official predictions for just a second. We have our Week 14 pick'em. In Week 13, I beat Ryan by a score of 7-6. But it's a new week. We have Brian to pick the games with us. Let's dive right into it. We're going to skip Patriots, Steelers, save that for the end as usual. We're going to start off with our Sunday game, Tampa Bay, heading to Atlanta. Brian, what do you think is going to happen?
Man, I don't know. I cannot get a feel on either of these teams. I truly think that's a toss-up.
Really?
Yeah, Desmond Ridder looked okay last week against... No, were they off last? No, they played the Jets.
Yeah. they got handed that win.
I forget. Yeah, fair. They're playing the Jets and Tim Boyle.
Then the Bucks, didn't they win? I think the Bucks won. Let me look. I have Mike Evans on my fantasy team. It's easy to check.
Yeah, but they played Carolina, so it's
yeah. So yeah, what are you gonna do?
So both coming off pretty
Gift wrap
unimpressive.
wins.
Yeah. I'll go Atlanta.
It's a little that's different. I took Tampa. I think Tampa, they're moderately better coached than Atlanta. I think Arthur Smith is probably the worst coach in the NFL right now by a wide margin. I can't see a world where Tampa doesn't take advantage of those turnovers, and they just think their firepower is better, are better utilized. I think Atlanta, if they had a quarterback, like if Baker Mayfield and whoever the offensive play caller is in Atlanta was in Tampa was in Atlanta, that Atlanta team is probably better than it is. Not that I'm a big Baker Mayfield guy or anything. Obviously, everybody knows my take on Baker Mayfield, but
I mean, hey, that Atlanta team is still in first place at 6-6.
Really?
Yeah, Carolina's awful. They're what,
right,
10,
right.
11. But I think the Bucks and Saints are both 5-7.
And the Saints aren't getting any better because they just lost Derek Carr for a little bit.
I don't know. I like Jameis.
I don't know, Jim. I'll take Tampa. I'll take Tampa in this one. Up next, another weird game. It's a bad game. Bad slate. The Lions heading to Soldier Field take on the Bears. I'm taking the Lions here. It's a weird division game, admittedly. The Bears could pull something. Like we said, Dan Campbell, not the greatest decision maker. But I'll take the Lions. I just don't think the Bears have it.
Yeah. Lions have been looking really good. One of the good surprises of the year. They might have been a little lucky to beat Chicago last time, but I don't think this time's going to be the same. I think Detroit handily wins this one.
This game doesn't do any good for the Steelers, but the Colts are headed to Cincinnati, take on the Bengals. Jake Browning, obviously, 1-0 as a starter. It's going to be a weird game. It's going to be really weird. I'm taking Indy. They have some type of hot streak going right now. Do you feel any different?
Is Jonathan Taylor still out for this one?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to take Cincinnati. I'm going to take the hot hand.
You feel like Jake Browning's got something for the Colts there?
Yeah, I feel like they're pretty much going to have to do what they did last week. Just start them off simple, give them a couple short passes, let Jamar Chase run, hand it off to Mixon a bunch of times, let him wear him down.
That Colts pass defense is also pretty atrocious.
Yeah, and I like Gardner Minshew, but I don't know if I trust him in a shootout.
It's true. Although, what was that game a couple of weeks ago where they played Cleveland in a shootout and they won? But up next, another game that doesn't really help you out. Whatever the outcome is, Jacksonville's heading to Cleveland. Trevor Lawrence probably going to miss some time, but who's Jacksonville's backup?
CJ Beathard, 49ers.
Oh, ew. Gross.
So, are you excited to watch CJ Beathard and Dorian Thompson-Robinson?
Dorian Thompson-Robinson might even play. Might be Flacco again.
Joe Flacco, that's right.
I'll take Cleveland. I think they're a better team overall. I think Trevor Lawrence is really the catalyst for what makes the Jaguars go. I can't see CJ Beathard getting in there and winning a game. Obviously, he choked it last night. So I'll take the Browns.
Trevor Lawrence is out. Christian Kirk is out.
Yeah, Christian Kirk's out for a long time, I read.
I hate to say it, but I probably got to go with the Browns too. I want to trust in Travis Etienne, but one man doesn't make a team, at least not a running back.
And now Calvin Ridley is the only guy that Jacksonville has there that Cleveland has to worry about on the offense, passing wise.
Yeah, Evan Ingram.
God, I hope Beathard just racks up the points for Evan Ingram. I need that fantasy bump for sure. This is probably the week that the Saints wanted to lose Derek Carr because they're playing the Panthers at home. If you have to go a game without your starting quarterback, this is probably the game you want that, right? I'll take the Saints. I'm not a huge Winston guy like you are, but the Panthers they're on a mission to suck.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm a huge Winston guy. I think he's better than people give him credit for. He does turn the ball over a lot. Yeah. Got that gunslinger mentality in him. But I don't think he loses this one. I think, again, New Orleans wins this one pretty safe.
All right. Up next, the Texans coming off that huge win against Denver. They're going to MetLife Stadium, take on the Jets. 2 questions for you. 1, who's going to win? 2, how many injuries are there going to be?
Well, Tank Dell's already out for the season. Unfortunately, he suffered a pretty bad injury against Denver.
Yeah, broke his leg.
I swear.
I take Houston because the Jets are bad. The Jets are the Jets.
Yeah. If CJ Stroud tears his ACL, I swear I'm never watching football again.
Dude, that's when you have to burn down MetLife Stadium.
Yeah. Again, that's a whole separate conversation. I'm not disagreeing with you, but
up next, the Rams headed to Baltimore. This is going to be a pretty good game. This is going to be one of those high stakes. High stakes. A lot of offensive firepower here in this game between the 2 coaches, between the 2 teams, and their defenses aren't half shabby either. This is probably one of the better games in the docket. I'll take Baltimore because I've been on record saying that they're probably the best team in the NFL right now. San Francisco makes me reconsider that after last week, but if it's 1-2 right there between San Francisco and Baltimore. I think the Ravens are onto something special. They just got to put the wins together. And go on a run. The run has to start now against a good team like the Rams. I'll take Baltimore, but you had a weird look. Tell me why the Rams are going to win.
Oh, I just hate it. Hurts my soul to have to pick Baltimore.
Oh, okay. That's what the face was about.
You know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm going to go with the Rams.
Make the case.
So, we say the AFC is, crowded for all the wild card spots. NFC is not much better. They got about 5 or 6 teams at 6-6. You got the Rams fighting right there. Obviously, they're not going to win that division. So you got to find a way to win somehow.
You got to fight off Seattle.
Yeah. Matthew Stafford's been here before. He's been in these must-win games. He was in Detroit for a lot of them. So, don't hold that.
Obviously didn't work out as often as they should have.
Yeah. But Puka Nacua, he should play. Sean McVay said he doesn't expect him to miss any time with the joint in his shoulder. They keep feeding the ball to Kyron Williams. He's going to have a big game, but
I can see it. Listen, I'm not counting out the Rams. I just think Baltimore's the better team.
They probably are, but I just can't pick Baltimore. My soul won't let me.
Up next, the Minnesota Vikings head into Vegas, take on the Raiders. These teams are kind of in similar spots, kind of overachieving a little bit. Especially when you heard the news that Kirk Cousins was out for the year, they're like, oh my God, what the hell are the Vikings going to do? Then they go have some big wins. Obviously, Dobbs had the 4 turnovers in Denver, and everybody was like, oh, is he going to keep his job after the bye week? It sounds like it is. The Raiders obviously played Aiden O'Connell with Antonio Pierce's regime, and they played pretty well. I think this is another game that's pretty 50-50, and both these teams need this win. The Vikings need this to stay in the playoffs. The Raiders need this to stay in the conversation. I'm going to take Minnesota because I think Justin Jefferson is going to be back. I just think Minnesota's a better team, top to bottom. But the Raiders, they're gritty. They know how to win games and steal them when they really shouldn't. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, you say Josh Dobbs did have 4 turnovers against the Broncos. It still took a last-second field goal for them to lose. Same thing against Chicago.
That's right, they did lose to Chicago.
Yeah. Again, that was another low-scoring game.
12-9, I think it was.
Yeah, something like that. But another one where ball security is going to be huge. Again, another heart pick because I really just want to believe in Josh Dobbs, but I'm going to go Minnesota.
Yep, I'm right there. I just think top to bottom, they're the better roster. And then, as long as Josh Dobbs doesn't turn over the ball and, he took that bye week to really figure it out, they'll be decent. They'll be all right. But the Raiders, like I said, Antonio Pierce should get that head coaching job next year. He should be the head coach next year.
Granted, their 2 wins are against the Jets and Giants, but look, take them where you can get them.
Right, and they kept up with the Chiefs too, didn't they? Didn't they give the Chiefs a run for their money?
The Chiefs and the Dolphins, I think. I don't think the Dolphins beat them by that much.
Yeah, no. Antonio Pierce, give him the head coaching job next year. And if the Raiders win against the Vikings, that's a huge, huge thing for them.
Oh, yeah, they're right back in the playoff conversation.
Keeps them right in the mix. Up next, the Seahawks travel to San Francisco, take on the Niners, see if they can put a dent in that NFC West chase. The Niners are just too hot right now. It wouldn't shock me if Seattle gave them a run for their money, and it seems like they've kind of fine-tuned that offense to a point where it's electric. But can you keep up with all the weapons at San Francisco's disposal? That's the question. I'll take the heavy hitters in San Francisco, but like I said, wouldn't be shocked if Seattle kept this close.
Nah, I'll take San Francisco. These guys just played 2-3 weeks ago. San Francisco ran them out of the building
In their own home, yeah.
Yeah, so playing in San Francisco, I don't see that being too much different. Christian McCaffrey will probably have a huge game. Deebo Samuel might have a couple big plays. Yeah, I don't see San Francisco having too much trouble.
Up next, surprisingly, this game didn't make it to prime time. The Buffalo Bills heading to Arrowhead again, that cursed stadium for them. They're taking on the Chiefs. The Bills, usually after a bye, they get themselves together and they rack off the wins. Kansas City coming off the loss in Lambeau with Taylor in attendance. So obviously that kind of voodoo magic is gone. It's gonna be a wild game. I think the Bills, they're gonna do what they do. They're gonna come in red hot. They're gonna know what they did wrong in the first half of the season. They're gonna come in and they're gonna run the table like they do. But Kansas City is a bad way to start. It's tough. It's tough. I'll take Buffalo because I think after the bye week, they usually figure it out and they get it together. The Kansas City Chiefs coming off the loss. It doesn't look great over there offensively. I'll take Buffalo because they can't be any colder than Kansas City right now. Like they have to turn it around at some point. This has to be the turning point game for them to make the playoffs. And do you really feel confident in saying that Buffalo is going to be having a losing record after week 14? I don't feel comfortable saying that.
And then you look at other losses too; they're all by 6 points or less. So they haven't been. It's not like they've been blown out of any of these games. They've been right there, regardless, fighting. And then it's weird to call it a down year at 8-4 for Kansas City, but
they've had their struggles.
They have. The receiver position hasn't been the same since Tyreek Hill left, and they covered it last year. But
something about this year.
Yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster's gone. He was obviously the glue keeping them together.
Yeah, is that the reason the Patriots don't win enough because we're not using Juju?
That might be it, actually.
Yeah.
I'll take Buffalo, but
wow, okay,
in a close one.
All right. I like when we're on the same wavelength here. Up next, the Broncos head into SoFi for a home game against the Chargers. I'm taking Denver. The Chargers are bad. I saw them. I saw them firsthand last week. The Chargers are bad. The only reason they beat us is because we're worse. Give me Denver comfortably. The
Chargers were just lucky you guys are ass.
Yeah, it's precisely.
See, again, I feel like if the Chargers had a different head coach, they would be a lot better than what they are. They're 5-7. With the talent they have especially on offense, they should easily be around 8-4 right now.
Right in the playoff picture, especially after last year. Choking 27-point lead to Jacksonville. Yeah, nothing serious.
We talk about cursed teams, man. These Chargers are just not. They're
not cursed. They're stupid. That's a stupid franchise.
They can be both.
Okay, fair enough. I'm assuming you're taking Denver.
First, now they're just stupid. I'll take Denver.
Yeah, they get 2 home games this year. Up next, Sunday Night Football, because we have a Monday Night Football doubleheader coming up. One of those weird, why would they play at the same time? I don't get it. You get Philly at Dallas, make that the late game, and then swap out Tennessee at Miami or Green Bay at NYG for whatever. But we'll focus on the first game here. This is probably my favorite game on the docket. I'm going to be glued to my television watching this one. Philly at Dallas, 2 of the best teams in the league. They're playing hot. They're playing great. Hates to say it as a Cowboys fan, but as a Cowboys,
jumping on the bandwagon. All right.
Yeah. I hate to say it, talking good about the Cowboys, but they've been great this year. They've been a fun watch. Usually, week in, week out, they've been a fun watch.
Dak Prescott's right there in the MVP mix. He's been playing like Everyone's been expecting him to play since he came into the league.
The Eagles are coming in pissed. They got their asses handed to them by a rival. That rivalry between Philly and San Francisco is heating up.
Oh yeah, at home no less.
It's heating up. Philly at Dallas, though, it's going to be an intense game. I'll take Dallas. I think that they're going to play up for this game. The only reason they lose is because Mike McCarthy is not a good head coach. But I don't know, man. It's going to be an intense game. It's going to be really, really intense.
I mean, you said it. I like Philly coming in pissed.
Yeah. Okay. I see this. I see the logic, and they're probably top to bottom a better team. Like if you compare them on paper, but this is just one of those spots where I'm like, it's tough, and in those tough spots, I'll take the home team.
It's a coin flip, but they lost to the Jets earlier this year. They came out and they beat the Dolphins by 2 scores, so I'll take them on the rebound.
Up next, the Tennessee Titans head into Miami to take on the Dolphins. Who booked this for prime time? I think Dolphins are going to wash them. I don't think it's going to be close.
It looked a lot better when the season started, to be fair.
It's true.
But who saw Tyreek Hill having this kind of year? Who saw Tua?
Did.
Oh, okay, fair.
I was a big Dolphins guy coming into this year. Ryan said I was on crack when I said that they would win the division.
Are you telling me you saw Tua coming off probably what should have been a retirement injury?
Listen, I said that as long as Tua stayed healthy, which was the biggest if, that they were going to go and do this because Tua was probably an MVP candidate last year too before he got hurt. Dude, he was on fire. He was just as good as he was last year, or as he is this year. Maybe that Tyreek doesn't have a 2,000-yard season, but Tyreek's still pretty damn good. I'll take Miami in this one pretty confidently.
I will too. I don't see Tennessee. Will Levis is still going through some growing pains as a young quarterback. I don't think. And Miami's pass defense is not the worst.
And Tennessee on offense can't do anything, especially if Derrick Henry has a concussion.
Ty Spears season. Let's go.
Man, I've been waiting for it. I thought that Derrick Henry was going to get traded. I did too. Well, then again, you look at it. Tennessee, they're right there in the playoff mix. No, they're not. They're 4-8. Never mind. I was about to say, what the hell are you talking about?
I don't
they usually know. Are. I usually pick Tennessee to be like, yeah, they're overachievers. They're going to be there in the end. But
I think that's what I was used to.
They're usually right there. This year, not the case. All right. So with this game, I want you to give me the points too. Green Bay head into MetLife, take on the Giants. This would have been a fun. This would have been a fun game if everybody was healthy and playing it to their expectations, but they're not. Jordan Love, I'm still not a huge buyer. But the Giants suck. Like they're bad. I'll take Green Bay to keep it rolling. I still don't have a lot of faith in Jordan Love. I don't have a lot of faith in that Packers team, but they have pieces to make this probably not even close. The Giants, I think their days of overachieving are kind of over. They are who they are.
I mean, look, they're on a 2-game win streak. I wouldn't count them out.
Against us. We are one of those games.
Yeah, and who was the other one?
Atlanta or Washington?
Washington. I want to pick the Giants, but I think Tommy DeVito is going to be the starting quarterback. I want him to succeed. I really do. That being said, I also do love me some Jordan Love.
Really?
I do.
You think he's the franchise quarterback there?
Not yet. He's still got a lot to prove, but he's slowly been getting better as the season's gone along. Like you said, Christian Watson's getting finally a little bit healthy.
Jaden Reed, the steal of the draft.
Yeah, for sure. The anti-Quentin Johnson. Packers are only 6.5-point favorite, though. I think they easily cover.
Okay, so you're going Packers too. And what's the points? I'll take my score. I'll go 23-10, making it 33.
For Green Bay and the Giants?
Yep.
I was going to go 2013, but I'll
23-12, make it 32.
23-12, 32.
Or no, 20 to 12. Okay, there we go.
I'll go 23-14. I'll make it 37.
Okay, so you think it's going to be higher scoring than I do. All right, so we're going back to the top. We've done the window dressing. We've pretty much prepared you for what this game's going to be, which is awful. Patriots at Steelers, Thursday Night Football. Al Michaels is going to jump out of the booth with how bad this game's going to be. Like I've said, and I'll keep referring to this comment that I made, after the Commanders loss, before we went to Germany to take on the Colts, I said I'm not picking the Patriots the rest of the year. I don't care what it is, who we're playing. I'm not picking them. I'm not picking them this week either. I don't care who's playing quarterback. I don't care who's calling the offensive plays over there in Pittsburgh. I don't care. This offense is bad. We don't know what we're doing. We can't win. It's not happening. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers. If you want to give me a score, like I said, 9-3.
I'll stick with 14-10 Pittsburgh. 2 defensive touchdowns, 1 for each side, and then I don't know, either.
No, it's gonna be a kickoff return touchdown for the Steelers. It'll be a defensive touchdown and a kickoff return.
Too bad we don't still have Gunnar Olszewski.
Yeah, he's where is he nowadays? I think he's
with the Giants.
That's right. Yep, that's right. God, Gunnar sucked.
Yeah, he didn't do anything for us.
Dude, I lobbied the Patriots to keep Berrios over him, and we didn't. I was pissed. And then Berrios can, 1, play receiver, and 2, also has a kick return of the year award.
Yeah, he did. He did pretty well returning for you guys.
All pro kick return, yeah. Gunnar has 1 for that COVID year, but Braxton won it the year after that with the Jets, and Braxton could play receiver, which I saw in Miami. He was really, really good. The Patriots have decisions. I hate them. But yeah, 9-3 is my pick. 24 or 14-10 is yours. Yeah. Any final thoughts before we wrap this thing up with a bow?
Please, for the love of God, Pittsburgh, in the offseason, just hire an offensive coordinator that knows what the hell they're doing and isn't gonna run anything. I know what I'm trying to say. This is very frustrating.
Would you consider Josh McDaniels for OC?
Unironically, yes.
I don't hate that. If you're gonna go with an outside hire, I don't hate that.
He's another one. He's a good coordinator.
You just don't want him making all the decisions.
Absolutely not. Keep him far away. But as long as he doesn't run a bunch of jet sweeps and screens on 3rd and 10.
He loves his screen passes, but I don't know about jet sweeps.
You know what? Then I don't want him. If I don't see another screen pass for as long as I live, I'll be okay.
All right. Well, that was the BeatCast for week 14, 13, wherever the hell we are now. This season's dragging. Brian, thank you so much for coming on after making me beg and draggy here. Hopefully we'll see you on the beat sides at some point so we can talk about something that's not our depressing football teams.
Please.
Just want to shout out the viewers. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow us on Facebook at Steel City Beat, at Foxboro Beat. And we will see you next week when we preview who the fuck we play next week. Patriots next week at the Chiefs. Fuck. Oh. This has been the Foxboro BeatCast. We will see you next week. Go Patriots.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Foxboro BeatCast. Make sure you like and subscribe and follow us on Facebook and Instagram.